Hello students, welcome. This is your English video snapshot lesson 2, The Address, written by Marga Minko, part 1. Let's start the chapter, children. First we start with introduction of the writer. Students, the author Marga Minko is a Dutch journalist and writer. She was born in 1920 in the village of Ginneken, southwest of Netherlands, in a Jewish family. Her pen name was Marga Minko. Okay, children, and she used to write in Dutch. Students, let's know something more about the writer. In 1957, Minko published her first book named Het Bittere Kreet, in which a nameless character goes through war experiences, reminiscence of the authors. It took a long time for the narrators to visit that address, as she was afraid of being confronted to things which would evoke memories of her past. After the first visit, the narrator returned back to the address, lucky to find only Mrs. Dorling's daughter, who invited her in, and along the passage, the narrator noticed their old Hanukkah candle holder, where she gets confirmed to herself that she is at the right address for what she was searching for. Students, let's get acquainted with the characters of the story. Narrator Marga Minko, a girl of 16 years, Mrs. Dorling, and Mrs. S, mother of the narrator. Mainly 4 main characters are displayed in this story. Students, let's have some idea about this chapter or about this story, The Address. It's a story of a girl whose mother, Mrs. S, gave her belongings to a lady called Mrs. Dorling during the World War II. Unfortunately, during the war, Mrs. S dies, but her daughter survives. Her daughter first thinks to leave the belonging of her mother, as she thought it will make her remember the good old times and she will then regret it. उसने सोचा कि ये सारी चीज़ें जो उसकी माँ की हैं वो उसे बार बार याद दिलाएंगी अगर वो उन्हें पा लेगी. Then later she becomes curious to see her mother's belonging. बाद में उसकी इच्छा होती है कि उसकी माँ ने पीछे क्या क्या छोड़ा है वो उन्हें एक मेमोरीज़ के तौर पे वापस लेना चाहती है मिसेस डॉर्लिंग से, जो उनकी माँ ने उनके पास रखी थी अपनी कुछ चीज़ें. But then Mrs. Dorling acts like she doesn't know her and avoid the Mrs. S daughter, and the girl tries to get her belongings back. But when she finds them, the object evokes memory of her old life. She decides to leave them all behind and resolves to move. Children, here you can see in this image the pictures of war in Holland. Okay, the destroy of the life, the destroy of the city, the destroy of the things was done that time, shown in this picture. Students, this chapter is mainly divided in 3 parts. The first part, the first meeting. In the beginning of the story, it is narrated how the protagonist was given a cold reception when she went to her native place. How come that narrator reached to her native place and she was given a very cold welcome, or we can say a very cold reception? She did not get any response in first meeting. So when she went to her native place after the war in search of her mother's belonging, After ringing the bell of house number 46, the address exactly, in Marconi Street, a woman opened the door. On being introduced, the woman kept staring at her in silence. There was no sign of recognition on her face. The woman was wearing narrator's mother green knitted cardigan स्वेटर ओके उस औरत ने नरेटर की मदर का स्वेटर पहना हुआ था ग्रीन कलर का. The narrator could understand that she had made no mistake. She asked the woman whether she knew her mother, Mrs. S. The woman could not deny this. The narrator wanted to talk to her for some time, but the woman cautiously closed the door. The narrator stopped there for some time and then left the place. उनसे बात करना चाहती थी नरेटर, लेकिन उस औरत ने बाद में दरवाज़ा नहीं खोला. Let's go to part 2, Remembering the Past. In the subsequent sections, the memories of the narrator's bygone days, old days, come to light. Her mother had provided the address years ago. During the war, she went to home for few days. She could find that various things were missing. At that time, her mother told her about Mrs. Darling. जब वॉर के बीच में एक बार वो अपनी माँ के घर गई थी तो उसने देखा उसके घर पे बहुत सारी चीज़ें नहीं हैं, और जब उसने पूछा तो मदर सेड कि ये कुछ सामान मिसेस डॉर्लिंग के यहाँ रखा है. She happened to be an old acquaintance of narrator's mother. ये वही औरत है जिनके एड्रेस पे नरेटर जाती है. ओके, so she happened to be an old acquaintance of narrator's mother. Lately, she had renewed contact with her and had been coming there regularly. Every time she left their house, she took something home with her. जब भी वो उनके घर आती, मिसेस डॉर्लिंग नरेटर की माँ के यहाँ आती तो कुछ ना कुछ सामान हमेशा लेकर जाती. She told that she wanted to save all their nice possessions. और वो क्या कहती कि ये सारा सामान वो अपने घर संभाल के रखेंगी क्योंकि वॉर के हालात चल रहे थे. The next day the narrator saw Mrs. Darling's going out of their house with a heavy suitcase. She had a fleeting glimpse of Mrs. Darling's face. She asked her mother whether the woman lived far away. At that time, the narrator's mother told about the address, number 46, Marconi Street. After many days, after the war, the narrator was curious to take record of possessions that must still be at number 46, Marconi Street. With this intention, she went to the given address. वॉर के हालातों में जब एक बार नरेटर अपनी मदर के यहाँ आई थी तब उसने मिसेस डॉर्लिंग को देखा कि वो काफ़ी सारा सामान वापस जाते हुए लेकर जाती थी. तभी उसकी मदर ने कहा था कि ये अपने घर संभालने के लिए ले जा रही हैं, और तब एड्रेस बताया था नंबर 46 मार्कोनी स्ट्रीट. स्टूडेंट्स, अब तक नरेटर मिसेस डॉर्लिंग के यहाँ एक विज़िट ले चुकी थी जब उनकी पूरी तरह से मुलाकात नहीं हुई. अब सेकेंड विज़िट in part 3. The concluding part of the story describes the second visit of the narrator. As the narrator's first visit yielded no results, she planned to go once again. Interestingly, a girl of 15 opened the door of her. जब वो सेकेंड विजिट पे नरेटर मिसेस डॉर्लिंग के यहाँ गई तब वो खुद वहाँ नहीं थी. उनकी बेटी 16 साल की बच्ची ने दरवाज़ा खोला. Her mother was not at home. The narrator expressed her wish to wait for her. Narrator ने कहा कि मैं उनका इंतज़ार कर लूँगी. तो the girl accompanied her to the passage. वो लड़की उन्हें अंदर लेकर आती है घर के. The narrator saw an old-fashioned iron candle holder hanging next to a mirror. Then the girl made her sit in the living room and went inside. लड़की ने उन्हें ड्राइंग रूम में बिठाया और वो अंदर चली गई. The narrator was horrified to find herself in a room she knew and did not know, and she found herself in the midst of familiar things which she longed to see again. उस कमरे में उसने बहुत सारी चीज़ें देखी जिनको वो देखना चाहती थी और जो उसकी माँ की यादों को वापस ला रही थी. बट विच ट्रबल्ड हर, लेकिन उसे दुख हुआ इतने स्ट्रेंज एटमॉस्फेयर को देखकर. शी हैड नो करेज टू लुक अराउंड हर, और ना ही कोई चीज़ वापस लेने की उसकी कुछ इच्छा हुई. बट शी नो लॉन्गर डिज़ायर to possess them. She got up, walked to the door, and left the room. She resolved to forget the address and moved on. So, here the idea of this story, the address, gets done. Children, I hope so. You have understood the story nicely. In second part of this video, we will see the explanation. Thank you. Take care of yourself. God bless you.